Stephen Spender's poem, My Parents, is a reflective and poignant exploration of the poet's childhood experiences and the social divisions that shaped them. Through the lens of a child's perspective, Spender examines the protective instincts of parents, the cruelty of peer interactions, and the complex emotions that arise from class differences. The poem is both a personal reflection on his own upbringing and a broader commentary on social inequality. The poem begins with the speaker recalling how his parents kept him from children who were rough. This opening line immediately sets the tone for the poem, highlighting the protective role that parents play in shielding their children from perceived dangers or negative influences. The word kept suggests a sense of confinement or restriction, indicating that the speaker's parents were actively involved in controlling his social interactions. This protective stance creates a barrier between the speaker and the rougher children, setting the stage for the exploration of social divisions. Spender vividly describes the children from whom his parents shielded him. These children are depicted as wild, aggressive, and unruly, with through words like stones, and their thighs showed through rags. The imagery used here paints a picture of poverty and roughness, emphasizing the physical and social differences between the speaker and these children. The description also conveys a sense of fear and intimidation, as the rough children are portrayed as threatening and hostile. This contrast establishes the social divide that is central to the poem. The speaker's fear of these rough children is palpable throughout the poem. Spender uses phrases like, "feared more than tigers," to express the intensity of this fear. However, there is also an undercurrent of resentment and envy in the speaker's tone. The rough children possess a freedom and toughness that the speaker does not have, and this creates a sense of alienation. The speaker's conflicting emotions, fear, resentment, and perhaps even admiration, highlight the complexity of his feelings towards these children. The poem subtly critiques the role of parents in shaping a child's social identity. By keeping the speaker away from the rough children, his parents reinforce social divisions and perpetuate a sense of superiority or exclusivity. The speaker's parents are motivated by a desire to protect him, but in doing so, they also limit his understanding of the world and his ability to relate to those from different backgrounds. This parental influence creates a divide between the speaker and the rough children that is not just physical, but also social and emotional. Spender further delves into the behavior of the rough children, describing how they copied his lisp and threw mud. These actions illustrate the cruelty and bullying that the speaker endured from these children. The rough children's behavior is both a form of mockery and a way of asserting their dominance over the speaker. This bullying exacerbates the speaker's sense of isolation and reinforces the social divide. The rough children's actions reflect the harsh realities of childhood interactions, where differences are often exploited and ridiculed. The poem conveys a strong sense of the speaker's isolation, both from the rough children and from the world they represent. The speaker is an outsider, unable to fully connect with or understand the rough children. This isolation is both imposed by his parents and self-imposed, as the speaker internalizes the social divide. The emotional impact of this isolation is evident in the speaker's tone, which oscillates between fear, resentment, and a longing for connection. The poem captures the loneliness that often accompanies social separation. My Parents addresses the theme of social class, particularly the divide between the middle class, represented by the speaker, and the working class, represented by the rough children. The roughness of the children is associated with poverty and lower social status, while the speaker's more sheltered upbringing reflects his middle-class background. This class divide is a source of tension in the poem, as it creates a barrier between the speaker and the rough children that is difficult to overcome. The poem critiques the way social class influences relationships and perpetuates inequality. One of the most striking aspects of the poem is the ambiguity of the speaker's emotions. While the speaker clearly fears the rough children, there is also a sense of fascination or admiration for their toughness and freedom. This ambiguity reflects the complexity of the speaker's feelings towards those who are different from him. The rough children represent both a threat and an alluring alternative to the speaker's sheltered life. This ambivalence adds depth to the poem, as it captures the conflicting emotions that often accompany social divisions. The poem can be read as a reflection on the speaker's childhood and the ways in which it has shaped his understanding of the world. The experiences described in the poem are formative, influencing the speaker's perceptions of social class, fear, and isolation. As an adult looking back, the speaker may recognize the limitations imposed by his parents' protective instincts and the impact of these experiences on his development. The poem suggests that childhood experiences, particularly those related to social interactions, have a lasting impact on one's identity and worldview. My Parents concludes with a reflection on the lasting impact of the social divisions described in the poem. The speaker's experiences with the rough children continue to influence his emotions and perspectives. The poem ends on a note of unresolved tension, as the speaker's feelings towards the rough children remain complex and ambiguous. The final lines may express a lingering sense of alienation or recognition that the social divide cannot easily be bridged. Spender's poem ultimately highlights the deep and enduring effects of social inequality and the ways in which it shapes personal identity and relationships.